right.
Be careful. You might learn something.
Let's go.
You are now tuned in to the Factual Opinions Podcast with your hosts. I am Pharaoh. Straight facts.
What's up, world? We got a special mini edition of Factual Opinions Podcast. We're calling it Bengals Block, therapy session for Bengals fans across the nation, but particularly here in the greater Cincinnati area. Your host, I am Pharaoh, checking in with the Brown, Bruce Wayne, Big John.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Will West, the best, will be with us shortly. He had another engagement from the multiple projects that he's involved in. I'll try to say his podcast correctly. Men versus Truth versus Women podcast. They're doing some great things on mental health this year. So check that out when you get a chance, but he'll be joining us lately. So this is for, as I said, all the Bengals fans to get out the frustration and vent from the devastating Week 5 overtime loss to the Baltimore Ravens. Game the Bengals seemingly had in hand and should have won multiple times, but we did not. Big John, I see you with the fresh taper, though, by the way.
Man, look, man, I had to get one of the kids who mess with me at school every time I get a haircut like they ain't never seen me with one.
Say Big John got the fresh one.
Right.
But we're going to do a few different things because I want to also spin this and make this a fun thing. So we'll talk about a few different Bengals things in addition to recapping last week's game. And we'll look forward to next week's game and my guarantee that the Bengals will defeat the New York Football Giants on Sunday Night Football.
Right.
John laughed like he don't believe you.
Hey, man, it's not the fact that I don't believe you, man. It's just they've been playing different, man. And that Patriots game was one of them trap games that they shouldn't have lost. But
yeah. I mean, I honestly, like I said, the sky seems like it's fallen because of the 1-4 record. And it's sort of like Coach Parcells said, you can spin it whatever way, you can come up with the stats that you want, but you are what your record says you are. And that's the unfortunate part of where the Bengals are. But they've pretty much been in every single, game, though.
Yeah. And I was actually talking to my coworker earlier, man. It's so crazy. The only loss, like you said, you are what your record says you are. But the only loss I really count is the Commanders' loss. I feel like that game they were outplayed.
Yeah.
But you don't give up. You don't lay an egg against the Patriots. You come through and you beat Patrick Mahomes on a game you shouldn't have lost. You don't, lay an egg. Like I said, no, I'm sorry. You don't lay an egg to the Ravens, which you should have won that game. And that 1-4 turns into 4-1. Yeah. Like I said, the only reason why I'm counting the Commanders' loss because they got handled. You ain't nothing you can do about that.
True. And when they say a game of inches, that's literally what it usually comes down to. They had opportunities in every game. I really feel like the Bengals are not still in a bad position. Record-wise, yes, and the percentages are against you. But there's a difference between losing because you don't have the pieces to compete and controllable stuff that you can fix. Or, making the play in a situation where you didn't make it. It's not a moral victory thing. Loss is a loss. But we know that as, former football players. Like, there's a difference between, hey, man, we ain't got the personnel out here to compete, versus we need to lock down and do what we need to do. So, positive notes from the game. Miles Murphy, defensive end, second-year guy from Clemson, made his return. Also, you saw, if you watched the game, B.J. Hill up front. And his impact was phenomenal, having him back on the field after missing the last two games. Offensively, they're not playing bad, man. Your guy, Brother Will, said the same thing. Like, you score, what was it, 35, or points at home.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to win.
Yeah. Yeah. But like we always talk about and hell, even growing up with each other, it's 3 or 4 plays that change the trajectory of a football game every game. It's never the tens and 20 of plays you run where you gain yards, you lose yards. It's always those 3 to 4 plays that will cancel the game out.
Now, and I don't want to be a hypocrite because you're right. You know, everybody that knows me from either, a player myself, a former coach, journalist, whatever. Yeah, I've heard me when I talk about the game of football when I say, hey, every play matters during the course of a game, but certain plays matter more based on when they occur. So I do have to stick with that and say in the scenario where that interception took place, with Joe Burrow, it was inopportune time. Now, that does not erase, in my opinion, the 5 touchdowns that he threw during the course of the game. I still feel like it was a 50-50 ball where, was it the most ideal throw? No, but I still don't want to call it bad. I think he was thinking that Uno was going to get over top on that quick slant, catch it. As my brother Jeff said, when we talked about it briefly yesterday, it's not like Marlon Humphreys is some run of the mill, corner either. They get
Right.
paid on that other side of the ball too to make plays. And I think he beat Uno to the spot and didn't let him get over top of that quick slant. That
Mm-hmm.
didn't happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
And it's like, I crack my jokes about, Joe giving up the game. But like we talked about, man, there's always a couple plays that determine the game. It was that interception. It was the after the safety not getting points of any kind after the safety. And then when all else looked like the sun was shining on you, Lamar Jackson fumbles, that debacle that happened after that. So those were the 3 plays that canceled out the game. You know. So
well, and speaking of that part, the Bengals, even after the interception, as you mentioned, had an opportunity to win this football game. And that's what I'm upset about. Okay, so two things actually. Ravens kick a field goal to tie it. Um, we take over with a minute and 40 seconds left and 3 timeouts. Ideal situation. I'm sitting there like, oh, Joe's getting ready, take us down the field and win this game. Will, I hate to keep going back to brother Will again, was one that made the status. All right, Joe, shut me up. Now, prove your worth. And I'm like, you can't do that when you immediately get sacked on first down. Then, in my opinion, there were 2 very nondescript vanilla play calls after that on second and third down. It really didn't give them a chance to do anything. And Uno was hot. T. Higgins had a great game too, but I just didn't like those play calls after that. So then you go to overtime, and it was like they were like, all right, well, we'll punt it away with no time left and go to overtime. Like you said, we get the biggest break of all with Lamar Jackson fumbling. And I'm like, oh, this is cake. And we heard when we went out afterwards to the bar to grab some food or something to eat, people were talking about the 3 straight run calls in overtime. Not even trying to advance the ball, at that point, seriously. Now, coming into the game, Scooter was, I believe, he was either 9 of 10 or he was perfect on the year from 50 plus. And I trust Money Mac in that situation too, because you got people talking about that, too. If you saw what happened, the holder dropped the snap as he's coming to kick the ball. Completely changes everything. Your motion to kicking. There's almost no way you're gonna make that kick at that, point.
Mm-hmm.
I knew at that point we were in trouble, and the Ravens were probably gonna win the game.
Yeah. But like you said, man, those plays previous to the field goal, and I'm not saying it could have happened even if they were closer, But the fact that you didn't try is the problem. And I know, McPherson is good from 50 plus. I'm not saying he's not, but I'm still going to give my quarterback a chance, and I'm going to give my kicker a chance to get closer. I'm pretty sure on the opposite side, they've seen Tucker make damn near a 60-plus yard field goal. But I'm sure if they can get him closer, they're going to get him closer.
Like they did.
So what I'm saying is, like, you can't – I don't understand the head coach's mind frame to not try. You are being too conservative, and that's what bit you in the butt. You've been dinking and dunking the whole game. Even if you're going to say, okay, they're gonna press the run, we can't run. Okay, and if they do let us pass, they're going to put everybody in prevent. But the thing is, like you said, Higgins and Uno was killing underneath the whole game. So take what the defense gives you, get close. If you can't score, get close to kick the field goal, game over.
Yeah. I just think it's a different mentality, man. When you're playing not to lose instead of, playing to win, that's kind of what happens. I made the old analogy going back to the Super Bowl, year of '88, where you hear with the FS sound effects, Sam Weiss talking to his staff saying, hey, we're going to get down here. We're going to kick a field goal. We're going to go up 16-13.
Right.
There was a completely different mindset on the other side of the field with Bill Walsh and his staff. They're like, we're scoring a touchdown, to win the game. And that comes into play. I think another thing he said was, he was like, well, maybe Zach lost confidence in him at the time. I'm not even going to put that on Zach, but if he did, that's, another strike against him with everything that they've been through. I don't think that should ever come up, or that be a scenario where they're like, we're afraid to. No, I just think they were being conservative.
Lost confidence in who?
Joe. That's what
okay.
Will. Yeah.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Will, you too smart for that, man. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response. Even if you feel like which I don't know why, because he's actually been playing good this year, even with the losses. Even if you feel like he's not been playing to his normal self, I highly doubt he's lost confidence in Joe Burrow was seeing all the stuff that he's done on the field. Highly doubt that. I just think he was trying to be too conservative, like you said, get his players off the field. Okay, we've seen, Money Mac do it before. We just gonna kick this field goal, get off the game, everybody go home with a win. But stuff happens. The football guys intervene. Stuff happens. It's a part of it. Just like, Big Trust fumbled, and he was just clapping, doing his regular thing, and he took his eyes off the ball for a split second. He fumbles. So
but that's what I mean when I always say football is a cause and effect game, and I know you know what I mean by that. Like it is so funny when certain things take place, you can almost predict what's going to happen as a result afterwards. You know what I mean? Because of that approach, you're like, okay, this isn't good, but you're still thinking you're gonna skate out of here with a win. When the holder dropped the snap and Scooter missed it, I knew at that point, I'm like, okay, yeah. And the very next play, Derrick Henry runs for 80-something yards or something, to set him up. So at the end of the day, being conservative, I think, never really balances out. The only time I ever saw somebody be conservative and it work out the majority of the time was the great Jim Tressel in college football with his approach. Sometimes they call it Tressel ball. Sometimes worked out, but even he had to open up, at certain times.
But you have to pick and choose your spots when to be conservative. You can't, in positions where you need to put your foot on the gas and you need to go, you can't do that. Like, I understand getting points before halftime. Okay, 3 beats to 0 or something like that being conservative, or kicking a field goal versus going for 2 and where you don't really have to. That I understand. But having a game won, you have 2 of the best receivers on the outside. Brown was actually running the ball fairly well for the past 2 weeks. you don't even try, like, and you have one of the best quarterbacks in the league, you don't even try. And this crazy part about it is, man, like they both of the quarterbacks was putting up mad numbers at the time, so it was like, and it was crazy. You felt after the field goal was over, like I kind of felt after the interception it was over, but we got a few lucky breaks. So when that happened, I'm like, oh, okay, well they can finish the job. And it was like, damn, because it's like, if that pick doesn't happen, they go about 3 scores, game over.
Yeah.
If that pick doesn't happen, so when that happens, you gave Lamar Jackson and them light. They come down, they kick a field goal, they do it. But it's like I said, man, it's just when you have to put your foot on the gas, you got to put on your foot on their throat. You cannot let up because NFL teams are too good. Even the worst team in the NFL is still a good team.
Yeah.
You can't do
Well, and I don't think people, pay much attention to that. They get so caught up on their individual team that they're rooting for, and it's only, them that they think about. And that's why I made the, comparison or, put a spotlight on that throw that he made, because again, I'm like, it's not always a case where the offense didn't do something or the quarterback made a mistake. Again, the other side of the ball gets paid too.
Right.
Sometimes they make plays.
Right.
What if Marlon Humphreys just happened to be there, which he was, and kind of read what was happening and made a play on the football?
Right.
Maybe
Like
it's
you,
not Joe Burrow's fault.
like you said, they get paid too. Now, looking at the play, I'm not Joe Burrow. I'm not on his level. I will never be. I didn't make it past college. I'm not even now. I wouldn't have made that throw. But like you said, he bet on his guy. He felt like his guy would have won that one-on-one matchup. He threw it after he broke, so he felt like he was going to win that matchup. And like you said, Marlon Humphrey is a Pro Bowler at one point. He get paid too. He made a play on the ball. But it was like a couple previous plays earlier where kind of the same thing happened, but it wasn't a slant where Uno broke free. But it was a little dink and dunk like they had been doing the whole game. But Joe waited to get the big play, took a sack. Probably should have took that sack because, as you seen, that short pass he gave to Chase, he took it all the way to the house. Had he got that little short pass for 3 or 4 yards, Chase would have got you 3 more at least.
Yeah.
So, it's like you said, it's cause and effect. It's choices in the game that you make that dictate what happens.
Well, there has been a lot of back and forth and who's to blame and all of this garbage going forward. But I wanted to point out a few things as it relates to Joe Burrow. Do you know who the current leader in passing touchdowns in the NFL is right now?
Joe Burrow.
Do you know who leads the league in completion percentage or total QBR rating right now?
I'm gonna say Joe Burrow.
It's Joe Burrow.
Okay.
I bring this up for a
Because when you
reason.
said passing percentage, I know that young man with the Commanders is going nuts right now. But
He is, but I looked all this up for a reason before we hopped on the air, because there's been a lot of blame for Joe Burrow. I'm like, no, Joe's actually playing really good this year. Minus 2 interceptions. Patrick Mahomes has 5 or 6 right now.
he had more than 5 or 6.
And I'm saying, well, at least from going into the game, because I didn't watch the game last night. I just was not in the mood to watch the Kansas City Chiefs at all.
I think he almost in double digits in interceptions right now.
Okay, which wouldn't surprise me. Now, Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes, but I brought that up for a reason. It's like Joe threw 5 touchdowns yesterday. Uh-oh.
What up, though? What up?
Will West, the best. Nate in the house.
My bad, man. I had my conflicts with schedules today, man. Dealing with trying to get a youth for mental health summit together. So, what's going on with you gentlemen this evening?
Well, number one, it's always glad to have you in the house, brother Nate. I know
What
you.
it's like? I done moved, y'all. I'm in the new house, y'all.
I was getting ready to say, I know you got a lot going on right now.
Yeah. Trying to get this light together. This light like in my background. There we go.
Man,
No,
you and Big John with these fresh tapers, man.
he doesn't have. Okay,
This 2 weeks, bro.
okay. Now,
This 2
sidebar
weeks.
before y'all get into it. He doesn't have double-digit interceptions, but this is weird for Patrick Mahomes. He only has 6 touchdowns, but he has 6 interceptions.
So it's even.
It's even, but when you talk about Patrick Mahomes, you think his interception to touchdown ratio always going to be better than what it says. But right now, he 6-6.
Well, in the book of Coach Carter, that would mean that he has nothing.
Right.
For
Pretty
sure.
much.
Because he canceled himself out.
Right. But they undefeated right now.
Well, you came in at
take that.
well, yeah, it's about the wins and losses, but Nate, you came in at a perfect time because I was talking about the criticism that people have of Joe Burrow, and it seems like you were kind of on that bandwagon on Sunday in the group chat that we had with Brother Will in there because you liked his comment, about that.
So
And
I was mad at the moment. I'll say that. I was mad at the moment. At that moment, I was upset. I'm like, bro, because, well, first of all, I had Amber right here. She mad as fuck. She's mad as Feezy as well. And we like, why would you throw that late pick? I mean, why are you? He was forcing the issue to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase at the time. And when it was going on, I thought about it after the fact. I'm like, well, dude did just throw 5 touchdowns. And then at the end of the game, they say it was Joe Burrow call, but I'm like, I don't believe that. I just don't believe it.
well, first of all, I want to give a shout out to Miss Amber, your fiance, because she is one of the more knowledgeable Bengals fans and football fans in general. When Amber picks a game, y'all, it usually goes the way that Amber picks it.
Yeah, y'all, you still remember that, huh?
I do remember that.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, cooler heads need to prevail because I just laid it out to Big John. I said, "Do you know who leads the league in passing touchdowns right now?
Joe Burrow.
Passing percentage."
Joe Burrow.
He came into the game stating that he needed to play a near perfect game for the Bengals. And honestly, outside of that one throw, which I still believe was a 50-50 ball that he was expecting Uno to win that matchup and get over top of, Marlon Humphreys and make that, quick slant happen, he almost did play a perfect game outside of that. And as I mentioned, again, it's not like Marlon Humphreys is chopped liver or just the average even corner in the NFL. Like, dude is real deal. He's been to the Pro Bowl. He gets paid for a reason, too. He's a wily vet that obviously read that, was in the right coverage to make a play and didn't allow.
Yeah, he definitely jumped that route.
He didn't allow Uno to get over top of him.
Nope.
That's the thing. Like, people always, when an interception or something like that happens, they're so quick to blame the offense or say what didn't happen or this, should have happened. It's like, no, sometimes the defense makes a play too. That's why they get paid also.
Yeah.
So
I blame our defense. That's who my big blame goes to.
Well, when you score 35 points at home, it should be enough, or 38, should be enough to win a football game.
But like you said, man, with football, we all know it's the ultimate team game. It's not baseball where somebody can come out and hit 4 home runs and win a game. It's not basketball where somebody can take over and score 50 or 60 and shoot the lights out. Everybody has to do their job. And even though it was a high-scoring game, to the defense's defense, they were actually playing a good game. If you hold King Henry, who's been killing everybody the whole year, to 50 yards before he broke off that little 40-yard run, they were playing good. Lamar Jackson is the 2-time MVP for a reason.
John.
No.
Go ahead.
No. Listen to what I'm saying. Their game, you know what the Ravens' game plan is. They stopped it. They did their job. Now, should they have given up that many points? No. But we knew all the commentators knew, we knew it was, in order for the Bengals to win, it had to be a shootout. Because if the Ravens take the air out the ball, it's over.
Yeah.
So the defense did their job. They did what they were supposed to do.
No, they didn't, John.
Listen to what you're not listening.
Go ahead. My bad.
Alex understands me because he's thinking as a football player. You're thinking as a hooper, and you're looking at the final score.
No, I'm thinking in a football man right now.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Basketball out of this.
Listen,
don't say I'm relating to that because that's not the truth.
Listen to what I'm saying to you. If in the scouting report it says we will not let King Henry beat us, we will not let Lamar beat us with his feet. They did that. They stopped that. They accomplished that. But Lamar Jackson is a 2-time MVP for a reason. He's going to figure it out. Just like the coach on the other side is a Super Bowl winning coach. He's going to figure it out. It was a couple plays where Lamar was stopped. He slipped out of Huber, sacked like 3 times on that play where he found a tight end in the back of the end zone.
That was ridiculous.
So what I'm saying is, just like we said, Marlon Humphrey is a player that get paid too. We know Lamar Jackson is a player that gets paid too. But the defense the defense.
My argument, John, is you said they took care of the job. They didn't. That's what I'm arguing.
They didn't win the game. But like I said, when you said you blame the loss on the defense, you can't blame the whole loss on the defense. They did what they were supposed to do. They held Henry under 50 yards. They did what they were supposed to do.
No, he didn't get held under 50 yards. He had 91.
He had 91 because that
last play where the Bengals clearly didn't have anything left and were like, and let him
get 40 to overtime on one play.
Yeah. That one is a little misleading because if you look at it and you didn't watch the game, you'd be like, oh, King Henry had a decent game. He ran for over 90 yards and a touchdown. And it's like, no, that was that one play. But no, I get what Big John is trying to say because from a game plan standpoint, the defense more or less, with the exception of a play here or there, did what they came into the game to do. Not let Lamar eat them up on the ground and obviously not let, ground and pound with King Henry take place. Now.
So I'm going to say this. This is a question I have. So you're going to take away the run. You're going to take away everything. Go take all that inside action, take that out of the play. You're not going to let them run. Those corners still have a responsibility. That's my issue.
They do.
Those corners from up north, from the worst city that's got the worst water in the world, is still a problem with our defense.
Yeah,
I blame the defense. I'm not blaming the entire defense. But I'm blaming a defense of DBs.
Even with them, that means you have to you blame your front four too for not getting.
I blame the DBs and the linebackers because the linebackers couldn't cover.
Well, unfortunately, we got some bad news with Dax Hill being out for the remainder of the year, so that's going to put even more strain, on the depth and possibly needing to bring somebody in to replace him. Where
Eli Apple at?
Hey, look, everybody wanted him gone.
I hope we're watching this, bro.
Don't start him up with that bullshit.
When essentially Eli Apple made 2 of the most important plays in recent Bengals history.
For sure.
But I don't want to go into that because people are gonna say I'm biased.
It's more than just Eli Apple, man. It's
DJ Turner.
Look at all the defensive players the Bengals have lost.
Man,
whether it be the injury,
was it 5? Did we lose 5?
Whether it be the injury, whether it be to them going to different teams, they're not the same defense anymore. They have some people that's still the same, but they're not the same defense.
Well, that's a great point because over the years we've lost, people like Jesse Bates, DJ Reader, even though another guy I'm going to name was only here for a year, Larry Ogunjobi, Wouzier. These were huge parts of those teams that went to the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship, the following year.
Mm-hmm.
you can't replace all those pieces. Now, you can try to draft well and bring people in. Um, Mike Hilton is a little banged up right now. Um, dare I say, and people know, like I've been a huge Mike Hilton fan since the Bengals signed it, and I still am. But all I'm gonna say is I know that Father Time is undefeated, and
His better days are probably behind him.
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
it's just hard to maintain. And like Coach Parcells always said, you either are getting better or you're getting worse. You never stay the same.
Yeah.
And the Bengals, again, as we mentioned before, are trying. It's not that they're not. You can say whatever you want about the defense. They've been in every game with an opportunity to win, even despite that.
And Nate, you may want to change that and say you blame the DBs and the defensive line because your middle linebacker is fourth in the league in tackles.
Okay. Oh, and I do want to make a correction on something I said earlier. Joe Burrow does, Joe Burrow does lead the league in touchdown passes right now with 12. He's number 2 in the NFL in completion percentage, behind Jaden Daniels for Washington Commanders. But still numbers where it's like I don't understand how and why people are trying to blame him. Because Will said, let me go ahead, Big John. Will said, y'all need to stop making excuses for him because he made the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And I said, I am never gonna stop making excuses for Joe Burrow. I'm just be honest, all right. I will call him out if he has a bad game, like 2 years ago when he started with 5 interceptions and a fumble against the Steelers. I'm like, that was the only game where I was like, all right, man.
That's just crazy work.
Yeah.
But
Zolly Williams said, why do you still have a job here? Who are we speaking of? Oh, Lou. Lou again has been kind of hampered by what he has to work with also. Now I admit, if he called every game like he does against Kansas City, because he's just got a feel.
I think he just don't like them. He don't fuck with them. That's why he just.
I think I think he just know how they go work too.
Yeah, he has a feel for them.
We always joke around about the Bills. Well, not necessarily Bills no more, but the Bills and the Bengals being built to beat them. So that's probably why. But
I still think Lou is one of the more prolific defensive coordinators in the league. Again, I think when you start losing the number of players that he's had, whether like Big John said due to injury or just due to guys leaving in free agency, I was one of those people. I knew that he wasn't coming back. This guy that I'm getting ready to mention, it was the best, worst kept secret ever. What Jesse Bates, I tried to explain to people, was the greatest free safety the Bengals have ever had. No disrespect to, Lamar Parrish or anybody else that, has played here. The amount of ground that he covered, even when he wasn't getting interceptions, and you see what he's doing down in Atlanta right now, gave the Bengals.
Is he 2 or 3 with picks?
I know he's top 5. Last year he was second, in the NFL with the amount of picks that he had. But the amount of ground that he covered, even when he wasn't getting interceptions, allowed you to get creative and do more things with your defense. You brought Von Bell back, who is still one of the most heady, players, in the league and makes, plays. I use a basketball analogy. I always call him the Derek Fisher of your locker room, but there's still guys, like I said, you losing DJ Reader hurt. I've said multiple times on our regular Factual Opinions episodes, I said a lot was going to depend on those 2 rookie defensive tackles, Chris Jenkins and McKinley Jackson, on what actually happened. McKinley Jackson has been hurt. He's just now getting back into being able to practice in the lineup. Chris Jenkins, one of the guys from that team up north who I do think will actually make an impact, breaks his thumb, and he's out there with a club, on his hand,
He got a
essentially.
hammer on. He got a hammer hand.
Yeah, so we've just had some bad luck, particularly up front. We just got Miles Murphy back, like I mentioned earlier in the league, in the episode. I think the Bengals will be fine. Now, yes, I'm worried about the secondary right now. That is an issue, and not necessarily Geno Stone or Von Bell. I'm speaking of our corners. Cam Taylor Britt is sort of like feast or famine. Like he's either making a spectacular play or he's giving up one at times. But I still like him. Um, Let me get to some of these comments too. Got Calvin Hill in the house. Big John, older brother. He say Burrow can't turn it over in costly moment. Yeah. So Calvin was one of those dudes that made this status and said that, oh, this one's on 9 and blah 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 and all this. And I'm like, okay, man. Again, as I mentioned before, certain plays matter more than others based on the timing in which they occur. But that did not cost the Bengals a game. Yes, they probably could have put it away based on the time on the clock and everything if they go ahead and, and I say if they go ahead and score a touchdown, on that drive. But again, they got the ball back with 1 minute and 40 seconds left and 3 timeouts. Gave up a sack on first down and called 2 nondescript plays on second and third down afterwards to go into overtime. Then you go into overtime and you get the ultimate gift. Lamar Jackson fumbles. We get it. And again, as most people have brought up, 3 straight running plays, conservative, not even trying to move the ball or go for the win.
And
it
not
just goes
even
down.
and not even good running plays. No misdirection.
Nope,
No.
they was all 3 dives.
No
3
motion.
straight dive plays.
No motion.
You know how you
No.
used to play Madden and you just pick the same play
Yeah,
over and over,
no
the same run
trickery.
play?
It ain't like you got the old Washington Redskins hog offensive line where we just gonna push whoever around. Like it wasn't nothing. It wasn't no disguises, no nothing.
It was
But
3 dive plays. They said Joe Burrow did it, but I don't believe that at all.
yeah, I don't believe that either. But what I am happy about, sidebar, is that Marius Mims came back into the game because things were going to get really rough if he was out for any extended period of time.
And you know what? He looked good.
He said, "Why Sam Hubbard?" It covers on 37.
First of
I
all,
did see that package where he was basically playing middle linebacker.
Hey, Mill, I'm with you. But
that made no sense. I've thought about that on that possession. Like,
hey, Mill, I'm with you.
Somebody
needs to have a conversation with Hubbard about getting stiff armed by Lamar Jackson twice. You outweigh that man by 200 pounds, and he pushed you off.
Well, the second time he stiffed armed him, it was like more of him diving at him. Like, and I didn't understand why he was diving.
It don't matter. What Money Mike saying Friday? You ever see the Chihuahua fight a pit bull? It ain't pretty. He should have got him to the ground. Period. Ain't no way. No way. And I know Lamar Jackson is phenomenal. There's no way.
Cal said Lou has to get out of the hat 4-2-5 on certain teams. You know what my problem with even the hatred towards Lou right now is, you can draw it up as perfectly as you want sometimes. Like, we know this as players. I know it, having coached, at the high school level as well. At a certain point, they still have to go execute. Also, when you get down to a certain extent on the depth chart, people can say that next man up thing, but as the great Tom Jackson used to say, there's a reason why that man was starting. Even in the NFL, it's not like you're gonna get the same production out of everybody. I don't think that Lou got out schemed by anything. Like I said, the play that Nate
there was no out scheming at all.
The play that Nate was referring to was just, again, you got to give your hats off to Lamar Jackson, because he should have been sacked like 3 times on that play, and just made a play, man.
Yeah, that it hurt. It hurt souls.
Calvin said Medea Williams was that. I was a big Mediu fan, but personally,
Madu has some fried moments as well, though.
I'd take Reggie Nelson and Jesse Bates over him, but he's in the upper echelons of Bengals free safeties.
Yeah, Madu was up there. Madu wasn't bad.
He said he blitzed when we shouldn't and go in the zone when we should. Don't go in the zone when we should. Sometimes I've looked at the Bengals personnel, and I remember even when the great Mike Zimmer was here, and we had some of those great Bengal, defensive teams. I always felt like the scheme was wrong. We had guys that excelled in man-to-man coverage, like Pac-Man Jones and Leon Hall, but back then we ran zone.
Yeah, we did. We ran a lot of zone too.
John, you got your mic muted.
But you know why it didn't matter? Because you had Michael Johnson, Dunlap, and Atkins that was getting past everybody, so it really didn't matter what you ran.
I meant to ask y'all, is Dunlap ain't with them no more?
Dunlap retired, bro.
Yeah. Oh, he did retire. That's what I was wondering. Me and Amber was trying to figure that out last night.
We need to go check out his restaurant, man.
Oh, it's pretty.
I know. We still ain't been.
I can't give Big John but too much static. He been coming out with me lately, but Nate, boy, it's hard to catch this dude, man.
Man, all this moving, everything else going on. I don't know which way up. I thought yesterday was Thursday.
Which I don't want to get too off topic with the Bengals, but man, are we going to homecoming? You see?
I'm taking off, so yeah, we can do it.
She said we can do it. That ain't exactly
Yeah, we're doing it. Right. We're doing it, bro. We're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing tailgate.
This guy look at the past game. Also, I mean, I've looked at every game, and
that game was terrible.
But Mill, we said that, man. It's a number of plays that happen. Because, like I said, if you want to break down, like I said this earlier in the podcast, you want to break down all 5 games. The only games I really count as the Bengals losers is Commanders. Commanders beat them on every facet of the game.
For sure.
They beat them up.
Yeah.
The Patriots shouldn't have happened. You had the Chiefs on the ropes. You should have stepped on their neck. You had the Ravens on the ropes. You should have stepped on their neck. So it's a couple of plays that takes you from being 4-1 to 1-4. Like,
we should at least be 3 and something right now.
It's a game of inches. Now, what I want to understand, now hopefully Cal is still on here, I still want to understand how you blame a quarterback that threw 5 touchdowns during the course of a game because of one 50-50 ball that Marlon Humphreys made a play on. I'm still not understanding that.
You can't blame him. I said it too because I felt like Joe shouldn't have made that throw. But like I said, it was not his fault. It's a team game. It's not, that one play doesn't make it his fault. Like I said, the interception, the not getting points after the safety, the being too conservative on that last drive, which cost you to lose. Those are the 3.
I think that was the biggest. That's where
those are the 3. Those are the 3 plays that cost you to lose the game.
Yeah, but the Commander, we never.
You never blitzed the Commanders because you couldn't get to the quarterback to even blitz him.
Couldn't get it.
So even if you did blitz him, it probably wouldn't have mattered.
That was just one of those games, unfortunately, man. Regardless of what the Bengals
we looked bad all the way around.
What the Bengals did or didn't call, man, they just got lit up. The comments by Cam Taylor-Britt before the game, I think, while they may have been spot on to a degree, I'm sure that motivated, Daniel's performance also.
What did he say?
He said they was a good college offense, basically saying, they don't give him too much. He young.
The reason why
he's been killing the league right now, but saying he ain't doing much but a college offense in the NFL. But
well, to add to that, specifically what he was referring to was the fact that Daniel's completion percentage, he said at the time, was a result of him throwing those short, college routes, crossing, stuff where he didn't have to think, basically it's drop back 1 or 2 reads and get rid of the ball. So, yeah, he motivated that performance for Daniels. Now, I mean, it is just year 1, but he looks like he could be a long-term, piece there to
He's
watch.
definitely gonna be the offensive rookie of the year. I tell you
Did
that.
you see who brother Herm Edwards compared him to?
No.
Your guy.
Who?
Number 11 for the Eagles. Your guy. Randall Cunningham. That's who Herm compared him to.
12.
Oh, number 12. Sorry, number 12.
Yeah, I'm about to say who was number 11.
Number
I start thinking of Dante Culpepper. I went to a different thing.
I said the Eagles. Right. Carson Wentz was 11. But yeah. Nah.
Well, wait a minute, because and I know I'm biased, so I admit it. You know, Randall Cunningham was my favorite quarterback of all time in NFL history. So before we get to comparing him to Scrambling Randall, you know, I need to see a complete body of work. You know, I actually would prefer several years before we get to comparing him to Randall, but I get it. There are similarities, you know. But he doesn't scramble as much as
he don't.
I don't think it was more so of the scrambling. It was the fact of
I think he's talking about arm strength though.
Arm strength for him using his feet and still looking downfield to make a pass. It was more. You got to just watch the segment. He kind of broke it down.
Okay. Cal said that one play is not his fault, but the Chiefs. Jesus, Cal, I'm not. Even that fumble, man, like people keep going back to that again. They had an opportunity to still win the game afterwards. Okay, he fumbled. It's part of the game, you know. He was trying to make a play and stay in the pocket and extend it and throw the ball downfield. And, you know, he got stripped when he took off.
It happens.
Now that's who I've been waiting for. Before I get to him, he said if we fire Lewis, he get another job in the league. Yeah, because actually he's one of the hottest candidates
for head coaching.
He had 3 interviews in the offseason.
Now the league is fickle, you know, because you can go from being Eric Bieniemy interview for every job to, you know, having to resort back to college. But you know, I don't think that would be the case for Sweet Lou.
We know why that happened.
Well, yeah, we spoke on that before.
Ain't he the offensive coordinator for
UCLA?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, but yes, I believe Lou will instantly get another job, even if it's just another defensive coordinator job. Should we let go? But I don't think the Bengals are even thinking about that, and that's another thing for people out there. Not only are they not thinking about letting go of Sweet Lou, I can promise you, based on us having Marvin Lewis here for 16 years, who I love and respect, so this is not a diss, with Zach Taylor going to a Super Bowl and AFC Championship game the next year, he's going to have a very long leash here. So people just need to settle in and just, you know, accept that he's going to be here.
Well, yeah. They gave Marvin a long leash, but if you don't win with the talent that you got, do you still get rid of him? Because it happens more in the NFL than not. If you got all this talent and you still ain't doing it and you still ain't getting over the hump, then what you do?
Here's your guy, brother. The underthrow the T. See, you weren't here earlier, Will, when I went through this. And I want to directly address you and every other Joe Burrow hater that I'm, you know,
happy belated, bro.
Speaking to right now. Yeah, happy birthday, even though we wish you one on the last episode. Right now. You made a comment. You said, "Oh, we need to stop giving Joe Burrow so much credit because he got us to the Super Bowl a few years ago, blah, blah, blah." And again, no, I ain't never going to stop defending Joe Burrow. I will point out if he has a bad game or makes a bad throw like anybody else. But just like the other guy that you hate, Deion Sanders, I am going to defend him every single time. So just get used to it. I don't believe you throw 5 touchdowns in a game, and because of one play where, yes, it was an inopportune time when you're threatening to put the game out of reach, but that one play did not decide that game, especially with the events that transpired afterwards in the fourth quarter with 1:40 left and 3 timeouts, as you so eloquently pointed out with your status on Facebook. But Joe Burrow gets sacked on first down, completely changes your mindset in that scenario. Then you have two nondescript plays that follow, and you punt the ball to go into overtime. And we know what happened in overtime.
Cuss
Oh
him
yeah.
out, Al, without cussing.
And Will, I got my
Get to because he made another. Let's see, Zach is okay.
Hey Will. I got my Colorado shirt and my cowboy hat ready for the whiteout, cuz it's coming.
Okay, so let me address this comment. She said we were hating on Prime is crazy. They have matching turtleneck.
They do. Got a whole list of matches.
That's okay. Look,
turtlenecks.
I got my Coach Prime hat and glasses. It's ready.
You got some Prime glasses, John?
I'll tell. He keeps saying he gonna kick me out of the short game. I ain't worried about it.
We know why Will is doing that though, because he got them heartstrings going, because he's the HBCU alum. He feels like Coach Prime pimped the kids and left, and Jackson State hadn't been on ESPN since 1989. Before Prime got there, what Prime say? Back in 1989 when I signed the dotted line. Yeah, there must be the money video. And the contract that HBCUs have now with ESPN and ABC and the HBCU combine that all the NFL teams attend and everything now. The HBCU All-Star game that's televised on NFL Network to give them even more exposure. Where was all this at for all these brothers that was down for the cause and was swacked to their heart and was down there with all them kids and loved them so much and dedicated their life, but you couldn't even get them on ESPN or give them any exposure for them to continue their
The only game that was on TV was the Bayou Classic.
Yeah, Southern versus Grambling.
Yeah.
So again, Dion in 2 or 3 years did more than anybody since Eddie Robinson for HBCU football.
But what about all the Hall of Famers that went to HBCUs that ain't doing nothing?
But a lot of them ain't even involved in football.
That's what I'm saying. So if you want to do this with Dion, do you want to start naming names? Because there's a whole bunch of them.
Cuss them out, John. Cuss Will out right now.
I'm just saying.
I'm sorry, I'm icing. I had to cool off. I had to cool off because y'all was burning up over here.
He talk about Zach now.
Michael Strahan on Good Morning America played at HBCU. He ain't did nothing.
Mike Strahan don't even go back to his. He don't even go back to his school.
Everybody talk a lot, but Dion is about action. Period. Whether you like him or not. So he did more for them and Jackson State in particular than a lot of people. And I don't even want to get into that because there's stuff that even Dion won't talk about because he doesn't want to talk down on HBCUs. But
yeah, we ain't even gonna do that part.
All right. Well, now wait a minute, because Will made another comment that I gotta scroll back up to get to. He said that Zach Taylor was the second most accomplished coach in Bengals history. No, he's not. First of all, Sam Weiss is still the greatest coach in Bengals history.
He said second.
Secondly, I would still put Marvin Lewis, second before I put Zach Taylor on there. We made the Super Bowl, and I really don't want to do this, but we made the Super Bowl in spite of Zach Taylor. Okay, we made the Super Bowl because of Joe Burrow and a collection of guys that were on rookie contracts or underrated free agent signings that actually pinged and hit. As a result, we went to the Super Bowl. Not necessarily because of Zach Taylor. Now, did he have something to do with it? I mean, obviously he's, the head coach, but I also pointed this out to Will. What is Zach Taylor's record minus Joe Burrow? Now, his defense was, well, every coach that has been successful had a great quarterback. True. But Zach Taylor's record minus Joe Burrow, and even with Joe Burrow that second year, was the third worst in NFL history. They've been playing NFL football since 1933. Third worst in NFL history.
Damn, third.
Third worst.
Because the 0-16 was one, wasn't it?
Well, it wasn't 0-6. It was 2-14. But it's kind of hard to be third worst in NFL. I mean, when we start talking about worse than Dave Shula, you know,
It's pretty bad.
okay. Now we'll just on here talking because I know he likes Marvin.
Oh man.
Oh and 7 in the playoffs. Thank you. That's one of my other arguments. Okay. You were 0-7 in the playoffs with Marvin Lewis. All right.
But you went how many straight times?
Yeah.
No. Wait down. I ain't even going there. Prior to Marvin Lewis getting there, you didn't have a winning season for 15 years in a row.
That's a fact.
Didn't make the playoffs since January of 1991.
Man, you ain't telling Will nothing he don't know already.
Will just came. He just came in here causing ruckus.
Man.
He knew he was
No,
gonna get under Al's skin.
he still got on his turtleneck right
Man.
now.
He's showing his calf muscles and his ankles out.
Will just got in from basketball conditioning. That's what it was.
He at home drinking wine, listening to Tyrese. But I ain't really worried about him.
He at home doing whatever Chris is do right now. That's
Like worried about Will, man.
Now he said he at home listening to Tyrese.
What about your Will, bro?
Out of all the artists.
he said we can get Vrabel. You ain't getting Mike Vrabel because Mike Vrabel was waiting patiently for that last Saturday in November to see if Ryan Day does what he needs to do.
For real, to be honest.
Otherwise, he's going to be a top candidate for that head coaching job at Columbus.
Did you already talk about them already?
No.
Mm-hmm.
No, because we're specifically having the Bengals block, but I will do a slight segue to them. My beloved Buckeyes, your state university, took care of business again against Iowa. I'm actually going to make a post about that, an underrated post, because everybody's going to talk about Jeremiah Smith making the one-hand catch, which was phenomenal, as usual. That's commonplace, with him. But he's actually on his way to potentially breaking Chris Carter's freshman record. Yeah. Well, I won't say potentially. Barring injury, he will break great Chris Carter's freshman records at Ohio State, which is very impressive because, again, we don't have to go over all the list of wide receivers that have come there and even greats like Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, and my favorite Buckeyes wide receiver of all time, David Boston, even didn't accomplish some of these records as a freshman. So this is phenomenal, but I will leave it on this with the Buckeyes. We got Bucks versus Ducks on Saturday.
I like it. I like how you said that. Pause.
Out in Eugene at Autzen Stadium. A lot of noise in the Pacific Northwest that'll be made.
Going against that 8 year transfer out there.
Yeah, I ain't worried. Just a little stat before we transition back to the Bengals. The Oregon Ducks are 1-8 all time against the Ohio State Buckeyes. So
throw that game. Throw that game out there, Al. Throw it out there.
Just saying.
Who was? Oh, wait, hold on. It's a Ducks fan right now. I can't think of who it is. They've been zoning me out all weekend talking about their Oregon Ducks fan. It'll come back to me. I can't remember. But they was talking about they was gonna beat us. They talking about they was gonna beat Ohio State. Damn, who was it?
Fine. It'll all get handled on Saturday.
Yeah, for sure.
And before we transition back to the Bengals, Big John, our beloved alma mater, Nate, your junior high alma mater, has a very big game against CCPA on Friday at 7:00, which will basically amount to first place in the CMAC, the Cincinnati
CMAC Blue
Athletic Conference. It's going to come down to that game essentially. So that's coming off our 60-0 victory versus Gamble. But
Mm, mm, mm,
let me get back.
mm.
Will said, I do like Marvin. He changed Cincinnati football forever. He made us relevant. Yes, he did. And he set the table for somebody like Zach Taylor to come in and do what he's able to do now. When Marvin got there, the organization was still charging players for Gatorade and passing around used jock straps that were washed and put back in a bin for everybody to grab. That's courtesy of Hush Mazada that told that story. So Marvin fought a lot of battles behind the scenes that people don't even know about to help modernize the Bengals and get them in position where they're at right now.
That's not even sanitary.
Yeah, it's not. He said, "What school? My son a free agent." Well, if you talk about high school, brother, right now, again, I'm gonna throw that plug out there. Schroeder's 5-2 this year. They are on the up and up. They still have one of the more newer campuses and buildings in CPS. They have, in my opinion, the best athletic director is Cincinnati Public and brother Don Newberry. If he plays basketball
Man, just let me get in the game for free. I'm tired of paying.
outside of Will, he said you need a guard. Oh yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, you need to talk to John's son that just got on here. Yeah, he here.
Brother Milton, no Will. They
Oh, that well, I ain't gotta say too much then. There
brother
you go.
Milton, no Will.
Oh, that's Milton.
Yeah, that's Milton.
Oh, I ain't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I should be recruiting for Will, man. Out here talking all this mess.
Nah, if Will don't want to listen, go ahead and send him over to Brother James now.
Uh-oh.
No, he don't mean a guard. He mean a football guard. He don't
Yeah,
mean
yeah,
a
yeah. No, I
hoop
know.
guard.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
if he
Yeah.
talk about a football guard, yeah, because Schroeder has a better offensive line this year and some size, but we could definitely use another guard, especially if he is a good run blocker.
Yeah, we
But
definitely.
also, we got the best quarterback in the CMAC right now, in my opinion, with Brian McGrady. So another 3-year starter, actually a quarterback, another guy to protect and give him more time to create back there would be awesome.
For sure.
Oh, I seen film on Milt's son, man. He got it. He definitely got it.
Yeah, he said he's talking football. Yeah,
My
absolutely.
bad, Milton. What's up, brother? My bad, big dog.
Absolutely. So, you can talk to me and I can talk directly to, or,
Talk to Dewan. Either one.
yeah, we got to be careful with that though, because we want to make
Oh
sure
yeah, yeah. It's tampering. It's
going
tampering. It's tampering.
through the proper channels. But if
Yeah.
we can make it happen, brother, for real.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely an option. So yeah, getting back to our beloved Bengals, Will's main point is he feels like Zach gets too much of the blame when things go wrong and not enough credit.
I don't. I think he gets enough. I just hate watching him after games and him talking on the mic because he's nothing but a robot.
Well, I didn't say nothing. I just said that if he's looking to change,
That's why we got quiet. We stopped.
Schroeder is
We got quiet.
John laughing. I'm trying to make a serious point here. Schroeder is actually one of, if not the only school that's not operating on a failing basis right now as far as academic achievement and CPS. You can go look up those numbers and stats online. So it would be a very good educational experience, at least for you to look into when making your decision, brother. So,
God, dog, Al, you selling water to a well right now, bro.
well, we also talk about I'm breaking. I'm not breaking.
No,
rules.
he was talking about tampering. He was talking about the tampering.
I'm not tampering either. I think that Schroeder is a great school as far as CPS goes for you to send your kid to and have an opportunity to excel in the classroom and on the athletic field. If that's breaking the rule, then hell with it, But I'm just saying I think it's a good opportunity because everybody only wants to talk about that damn school on Madison Road. There's more schools out here where you can achieve and do well. So that's all I'm saying.
And they 2-5 right. They 2-5 right now.
Oh, they did win Friday then.
Well, they played Woolward, but that's another.
Yeah.
They did beat Taft. Taft is a decent team.
Zach has no accountability.
None. He has none. None.
Well, again, he's not going to right now because of what happened
I mean, we got a great team.
a
I
few
can tell
years
you his
ago.
speech, word for word. We got a great team.
Look at Cal.
We could have did better.
Cal mad.
Hey,
Cal,
Don't get mad at us. You better
it's
go over there and tell somebody something.
Cal.
hey,
Don't get mad at us.
It's
hey,
the truth, Cal.
Hey,
And
y'all had a better turnout at Orange out down there at Washington
you
Park than
hey.
at the game.
What Al said earlier, you are what your record says you are. Y'all 2-5.
Yeah,
We
that's
five.
what y'all record is.
We 5-2. It's okay.
I simply made a statement that everybody, particularly of the African American descent, knows in this city is true. Where, in our age demographic, there has been this thing where if you didn't go to Withrow socially or athletically, that you just ain't generally, you know what. And
Yeah.
I'm simply making a statement that there are other schools where people can achieve that. It's
Yeah,
not
because I'm the
hate,
man.
It ain't hate, Cal. It is what it is.
It's a big red thing all weekend, so you can hate all you want.
Man, nobody think about the
They get mentioned even in a year where they're what's the record, John?
They
2-5.
2-5. They 2-5.
I'm like, there's no reason to
God, dog. Dang.
talk right now, especially when you still haven't told me what's going on with JL.
Right, you ain't spilled no beans.
And I know you got enough connections over there, Cal, to find out what's going on.
You got the beans, you just ain't spilling.
So, quick question, man. So we get back on this topic. I know you said the year is salvageable, but I'm not the one for tanking. But if you win too much, you get out of prime draft pick status. Now, if you're gonna win and actually make a run for something, I get it. But right now, with the war of attrition the Bengals are fighting, do you really push that issue? I mean, I'm not telling you not to go out there and win, but do you really push that issue?
I want to know who's coming out this draft.
I'm old school, with this topic. So unless you're talking about the number one pick and we're late in the season and, the season has, officially, mathematically and everything else been wiped away. And I still don't believe in tanking. And let me just throw that out there. Based on the Bengals being in every game, including the Commanders game, that wouldn't be a consideration right now.
I mean, they would have every year for them. Possibly,
we should do good Sunday.
Every year for them.
Tony,
what up?
What's up, Tony?
Every year for them is
Tony. I did not know you was James, one of James' best friends. Didn't even know that.
Want to be every year for them is the offensive line. They can draft the offensive lineman, but they're gonna have.
Because I was wondering who's coming out this year.
They're gonna have to find somebody to replace T, because I don't think T's coming back. And the Burton kid, even though he is good, I guess he's having trouble getting on the field.
They said he can't read the playbook. Is that the one they said that can't read the playbook?
I'm assuming,
among other things. Falling asleep in meetings and stuff.
Yeah, they're gonna have to replace T. They always gonna need offensive linemen, even though Mims is actually playing good. They're gonna have to get younger on defense, and like y'all said, there's several holes in the secondary.
Thank you for bringing that up, Big John, because I've been thinking about this, and I'm glad I didn't forget. So there were excuses made on why the Bengals decided to get trendy and start drafting players from that team up north who defensively obviously were aided by cheating the past 3 years, whether you like them or not. It just is what it is. It's facts. So it's not hard to look good when you know what's coming ahead of time. But anyway, there are quite a few players that came back to your state university this year to compete for a national championship and beat that team up north that will be draft eligible. One of the things I was looking at is Sam Hubbard is getting. I mean, Sam still makes plays, but he
can't get off that line like he used to.
Yeah, Jack Sawyer would be a perfect replacement for him in the mid-round, second day pick, second, third, round pick. There's other guys. There's JT Tumalau, There are guys in the secondary. There's Denzel Burke, you know,
I
um,
definitely feel like that's who we need to go get is Denzel.
that will be Ezra. Jordan Hancock will probably be entering, the draft as well. Uh,
If he's still on the board, he
you
might
know,
not even be on the board.
I can't pronounce his last name, but is it Igbezo? I can't. Uh,
Oh yeah, I don't know how to say this.
Number
Thing. I
one
know.
for
I know
Ohio
you're talking
State.
about. I can't. I
Yeah,
don't know how to
they
say his name.
transferred from Ole Miss.
Yeah.
There are a lot of Buckeyes that they can just go an hour and a half up the road and scout that the Browns and Steelers don't have a problem drafting. But I know it was light on the board last year because everybody came back. But there's a lot of Buckeyes that they can make picks and bolster that defense with. Tony, it has nothing to do with being a homer because whether you like Michigan or not, at the end of the day, I made this point last episode when the Buckeyes had a nice presence on the roster and it was littered with Buckeyes on the roster. You went to the Super Bowl and AFC Championship. Since they have made a concerted effort to become Ann Arbor Junior, the play has dipped by several players and or the team's achievement overall. That can't be argued, regardless of who you root for. It just is what it is. The results say that. So at the end of the day, uh, you can say all this Michigan stuff. Yeah, well, I try not to single guys out on this program, so I'm not going to be baited into doing that. But I will say that you can have Dax Hill. Okay, if that's
And Cam Taylor-Britt. You can have him back.
Cam Taylor-Britt played in Nebraska. But Cam Taylor-Britt is cool.
No, that's right. He is from Nebraska.
What about Turner?
Turner, there you go. Fried rice with chicken on the side.
Nate said it, not me.
I did. Fried rice with chicken on the side. Go ahead and take it back. And with them snap peas.
I have faith that Chris Jenkins will be a contributor once his thumb, heals up and he can really, engage as a defensive lineman and grab and, swim move.
I think it's either this week or next week. He get out the club.
I mean, he's been making plays even with the club on.
Yeah, with the club.
I just know how much
it just looked like he got like a mini bowling ball on his hand.
I know that can be a limiting factor. Tony,
stop making excuses for you.
As a safety.
I don't know who worse, you or Triggs. I don't even know.
He was drafted as a safety, and that didn't turn out, for various reasons. Now he's a corner. That's really not working out either. Even if you put him at nickel, which they're not going to put him over Mike Hilton to begin with.
Not at all.
Some guys it just don't work. Big John has brought this up before. I was a big Leon Hall fan. I was a big Marlon Jackson fan.
But the best DB in Michigan history, he don't like.
We're not going there.
But the all-time greatest Wolverine in life, you don't like.
Everybody knows I love Braylon Edwards.
He's not the greatest Wolverine of all time.
To death. Yeah, I know I talk about Braylon all the time, even though he flaked when he said he was supposed to come on Factual Opinions and didn't. But I won't hold that against you, brother Braylon. So stop calling me a homer. That don't make sense. I'm simply making a point that there are several Buckeyes, and that's putting it mildly, all of which could have and would have been drafted last year that came back for a reason. And the Bengals have no reason, based on their needs, where certain guys would be available, not to walk away with at least one Buckeye in the first 5 rounds. Because again, there are other organizations that make that concerted effort, be it Cleveland or Pittsburgh, don't have a problem drafting those players, and they seem to pan out just fine with those organizations. But we get on these trends where we want to draft from certain schools or conferences that are overhyped to begin with. And I'm not even talking about Michigan. I'm talking about the Confederate States of America Conference, and make choices that we should make.
All right, off topic. quick question. Who y'all got leading the Heisman right now?
I think Al's going. Are you leaning more to Ohio State?
No.
I'm gonna go with that boy that's down there in Dayton County doing his thing.
I got two. He's one of them.
I was thinking about saying Cam Ward, but
he's one of them. But I'm
they
not
need
gonna
to chill on them post game interviews though.
he need to chill out.
Yeah, he been wild. He been wilding.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they got to start realizing you can't put him and he's still in the zone. You can't put him on camera like that.
Yeah.
I know the coaches that said something to him now, but he was still in the zone. And then you got Michael Irvin on the ghost snow. Probably about 10 feet away from it.
I understand what you're saying, but he ain't Chris
Before
Johnson.
I answer that,
he ain't Chris Johnson.
Another former Heisman Trophy winner. Since Big John always wants to bring that up, man, the hell with him. All right, I don't care. He's a traitor.
Who?
He was born and raised in the state of Ohio, and he crossed the line. So I'm never going to forgive him for that. Or the other Heisman
you talking about
that they had crossed the line.
Oh, yeah.
And Desmond Howard from Cleveland, Ohio. I will never forgive either one of them. No, I don't care. Whatever.
All right.
Is he the second greatest corner of all time? Yes. I
got Cam Ward, but that young man playing for Boise State that's putting up them video game numbers.
Yeah, he putting up them the running back, yeah.
He bro, that's some my career Madden.
Yeah. That's Reggie Bush. He hitting Reggie Bush
ridiculous numbers, man.
No, I think Travis Hunter is my favorite right now.
Yeah.
I forgot about Travis.
And it's getting down narrow because all the other guys that were up there, whether it be Jayden Milroe or the guy from Tennessee, they've all took losses right now. So,
Yeah, I think Milroe might have fell out because of
Milroe. They had the quarterback from Tennessee up there too. They had Milroe.
I gotta check on my cousin Bernard down there in Birmingham, man. I knew he was up.
They lost to the fighting Jay Cutlers.
Man, they had lost to Vanderbilt in over 40 years, man.
Yeah, it's 40 years.
That's a long time, brother.
Yeah.
But no, I would go with Travis. So we were talking about who would be there, and he said, "I can't believe y'all vouching for Lou." I just don't think Lou is the problem. What? I think that play caller that was never a play caller before he got here is the problem.
Also, you have to. It comes what's the old saying? Sometimes it's not the X's and the O's, and it's the Jimmys and the Joes. Sometimes you have to have the personnel. Right now, the Bengals' reliable personnel on defense is getting longer than tooth. They're getting older, and then the young guys that they drafted aren't stepping up. So you have
a lot of them aren't staying healthy either.
Yeah,
they ain't staying healthy at all.
That too. But when you got Wilson in the middle, fourth in the NFL in tackles, they have players that are playing, but it's like you have holes in your defense.
If the Bengals draft him, it would be as a corner, I would assume and would think, because that's where they need.
Yeah, that's where we need the help.
And I may be, I may be one of the few people. I think he's a better receiver than a corner. I think, and this is, I feel like I feel
hard.
Like
I ain't gonna.
I feel.
Why do you say that, though?
Okay, just because of the plays, I know he makes plays on both sides of the ball. He makes more plays on offense than he does on defense. Now I know a lot of quarterbacks won't throw to his side
more, and like you just said, they're not necessarily picking or trying to throw on Travis's side.
But even when they do, I've seen him. He doesn't get beat bad, but I've seen him give up some passes and give up some plays. I just feel like he makes more plays on the offensive side of the ball.
I don't see that. And if he does, it's probably a result of him going both ways. You know, everybody ain't Chris Gamble where they can do that full time. Because
And
even
they said they got a red shirt
even
right
that
behind
play
him.
I keep mentioning, you know, it's sexy to say, oh yeah, he's the first primarily defensive player to win the Heisman, and he played both sides of the ball. Not really. Like they had few packages or routes
But
to
no,
take.
but even he admitted it. I don't know if you've seen an interview with him and Dion. He even admitted it. He said, "Bro, me and you, we dabbled in it, but we didn't do it for real. Travis is actually doing it.
That's
Like,
what I'm saying, full time.
yeah, he admitted it. He said it. He said, I didn't go full both sides of the ball. He said him and Dion admitted it. But yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I feel like Dion and Charles Woodson were better defenders than him. They are not better receivers than him. They're not. And that's just being real.
Cal, stop being a hater. We won't know because of the type of offense that Ohio State ran back then. If Chris Gamble played in today's time, he might win the Heisman with Ryan Day and Chip Kelly calling plays. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Chris Gamble was a first-round draft pick, played 9 years in the league, retired on his own cognizance, and is living quite well. So he still won.
But man, yeah, I'm like I said, he's gonna play defense because that's what Hunter wants to do. He's gonna play defense. I just feel like he's a better receiver.
I didn't know Turtleneck was still here. So how you blame Zach with the offense is balling, but don't blame Luke. You know what bothers me about Will? Like honestly, and I'm not saying this just because I know the brother, you know, and have known him for quite some time now. Will is one of the most intelligent brothers I've ever met. Like seriously, like common sense wise and book smart wise. So sometimes when he says this shit,
That's because y'all haven't learned. I've been knowing Will since I was 4 years old. You have to learn to ignore him. You have to ignore him. He's that kid, that child that wants attention. That's why he says some of the things he says. You have to learn to ignore him.
Sometimes it's hard to ignore Will because he be pushing you.
Better wide receivers in corner.
That's fine. I feel otherwise. That's fine.
He's being used that way in Colorado, John, because they don't have enough playmakers outside of him and Joey Horn's son, out there.
Yeah, I don't think he would be playing if they had that third and fourth wide receiver. He wouldn't be playing both ways. Dion would pull him to the defensive side.
Dion is trying to. He's not trying to. He's allowing him to be who he is. He's going to let him play both ways, even if they were stacked. Even when they had Weaver and all them other guys, he played both ways. I don't know.
To answer your question, brother, I personally would draft him at defensive back because there's a higher premium on that. I can find a wide receiver.
Okay.
I can game plan a wide receiver open. Can't really. Well, let me finish, but John, you can't really hide a guy at defensive back, as we've learned. On this team, like they either have that high end talent to be a starter in this league, or they don't at defensive back.
Quick question, and I'm not hating on him. I feel like he's a phenomenal player on either side of the ball. But what's his ceiling? Is he a Patrick Surtain sauce guy, or is he under them? Because if he's a Patrick Surtain Sauce Gardner guy, let's go. But
that's
if he ain't,
your career right there.
But
Sauce
if he ain't,
had a rough game on Sunday.
But
he got hurt.
Okay. Even if you want to say him, look at what Patrick Surtain been doing with the top receivers.
And I love Sauce. So you asking high end why? I don't know. I know that bringing Travis Hunter in, he's probably has a higher likelihood to be a better corner than anyone we have on the roster right now. I know that.
I ain't really saying much, brother, but
still, there's a higher premium on having a top tier great defensive back because you can find a wide receiver.
Where we had the quickest impact at? Because You seen young receivers come into the league and go crazy. You've
I
seen
mean,
that.
even in limited opportunities, Jermaine Burton has made,
Yeah.
plays.
But you've also seen
off the field, but
you also seen highly recruited corners who've been great in college come out and look terrible in the league.
How many first round corners really flop though? Like flop.
I mean, I ain't gonna say flop, but
Because
they
that's
didn't
a
meet
position,
expectations.
and me being an expertise in DBism to begin with. That's a position where if a guy is going to hit for the most part, they hit in their first round draft pick. There are very rare instances of somebody becoming a Richard Sherman after being drafted, late, in the draft and stuff like that. Like first round corners are drafted for that reason, like I said, because there's a premium for that.
Okay. And this is not a knock on him. I ain't gonna say I like this tenure here, but this is not a knock on him. Draker Patrick. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't that good either.
I wouldn't call him a flop though.
I'm not gonna call no, I said I'm not calling him a flop, but it wasn't nothing to write home about either. It was just he was decent.
So what are you saying? Go draft
I'm just saying he was
like brother from what was that, Western Michigan we drafted, a few years ago.
He would have a faster impact being a receiver than he would being a DB.
John, if they're and I guess I'm gonna get called a homer again for this. If you want a wide receiver, go draft, a Mecca Ibuka or somebody like that, even if it's not him specifically, in the first round. I don't think that they need to do that personally, but
no, I'm not saying
draft a receiver. Don't draft a young man that, again, I think you're getting hyped off the highlights and stuff that's happening at Colorado because they have to use him that way just because he's the best athlete, and Dion doesn't still not have the depth at certain positions, at Colorado where he has to use him in that manner.
I hear you.
If we get that 5-star next year, we won't see, because he got a 2-way player coming in next year. Well, he already redshirted.
But
he
said Luke can't wear his image. I said that I agree with.
And I agree that if the Bengals were
Tony.
If the Bengals were to draft him, it would be best for them to draft him as a DB.
But there are a bunch of edge rushers in college. We spent too much time on Travis Hunter, but
no. 1 second. Let me get this out. If the Bengals do draft him, he would be the best case for it to be a DB. But once you do that, you're gonna lose T. Burton ain't on the field.
It has to be addressed anyway. And again, I'm not drafting Travis Hunter as a wide receiver. So that's the best receiver. He's not the best receiver.
I literally just said if they draft him as a DB. That was the first thing I made.
You ready to say something else about him being a receiver, and I'm like, if you're
I'm just saying when you do that, your number 2 next year is going to be Yoshi. That's going to be your number 2.
He won't be a 2-way player, John, when he goes to the league.
That's I'm
not
saying
going. If the Bengals make that decision to put Yoshi out there, I still think they will address wide receiver in some form or fashion. Okay, yes, we know they're losing team. We've been saying that for the last 2 years. They're going to either draft somebody or bring somebody in as a free agent. Will they be T. Higgins? Probably not. As far as caliber, but that will be addressed. I don't think they're going to intentionally line up with Yoshi as the number 2 wide receiver next year. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't think that's going to happen. Now, Tony said the Bengals need another edge rusher. Well, there are a lot of edge rushers in college this year. When I brought up a few that I know would be there in the second or third round of value picks for the Bengals, I got called a homer, but, at the end of the day, Bengals can find edge rushers. I don't know if you do that in round 1. What is the Bengals, biggest need at this point? I still say it is corner.
Corner. Ain't no other argument.
It's corner, but
because they're a bunch of bums.
just like Marvin will draft the DB and the lineman almost every year. So those two things are their biggest need.
What Tony Montana mama said, she's a bum then, he's a bum now.
What did he say? Was that Casino? No, that was Goodfellas. They're all rats.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree, but Burton is taking himself off the field, man.
Yeah, and I try to stick to on field, stuff on here, but if you're not grasping the playbook or there's maturity issues, a lot of which were highlighted during the draft, which is why he lasted to the third round, because he's a first round, talent. You can't be falling asleep in meetings and stuff like that. And I hear he has gotten better at that, but he's still, working his way into good graces and getting back into the lineup. Let me see what Tony say. Say who could rush the passer besides Trey? Serious question. And he's at the last year of his deal.
We gonna have to figure something out. So I'm gonna have to shake.
I mean, Hubbard gets there. He just don't finish. But he gets there.
We can't compare to that. See, this is my only thing about that Hubbard thing. We're making that play seem like Lamar Jackson doesn't do this to a lot of people.
I'm not saying he doesn't.
Yeah, I'm not showing no more of your comments until you tell me.
And I'm talking stuff because
on Madison Road, you have
my phone number. And I'm talking stuff.
Wait a minute, John. Even though you don't answer my calls no more when I call, I need to know. What did he say? I remember the Titans because I need to know.
Right. Huber was actually having a good game. He was actually having a good game. He was making plays. He was actually having a good game.
Who?
Hubbard was having a good game.
I'm not a big fan of Pratt either. I'm not a big fan. They paid him, they extended him. I'm not a big fan.
He said get rid of Pratt. Y'all talking about get rid of playoff P too?
I'm just not. I only said one thing. I'm only saying that one thing for one reason. Pratt sometimes gets lost, and it bothers me. So, and he gets bullied. So I done seen him get bullied a couple times. So it's just like I'm kind of like I'm not as sold on him.
Actually, he does, brother Tony.
Yeah, he got one.
He got more than one.
He got more than one. He got like two.
He got
or three.
two now, but
he could have had three.
You know what? At the end of the day, though, these are needs that are not going to just be filled by one person.
Nope.
Or through one method. The Bengals are going to have to make a concerted effort. They like to do most of their damage through the draft, but they're going to have to address some things through free agency too if they're going to compete, because as we've alluded to, this is going to be a vastly different looking roster going into next year.
Yeah, big look.
Like I said in previous episodes, they're gonna have to do LA Rams makeover. They're gonna have to do it if they want to compete. They're gonna have to do it.
I know who we should have went and got.
See, Tony being funny. I just said that, Sam was getting long in the tooth along with a few other people, and they had to look to upgrade those positions. But I tell you what ain't the answer. It's not going back to Ann Arbor and drafting another overachiever that, was aided by cheating the last 3 years. So
hey, man, Aiden Hutchinson balling.
Anyway.
I mean, he is. I'm about to make that up.
I'm not talking about somebody like Aiden Hutchinson who, was drafted number 2 overall and has lived up to the hype. That's not what I'm talking about.
Well, I know what you're talking about. I'm just talking about Michigan overall. I just said a name.
He the only one doing something right now.
From that group.
He the only one. Man, my palm itching. I hope I got some money coming. Jesus.
Let me tell you something, Cal. First of all, I don't know how to stop doing nothing on fact. Secondly, this ain't Lloyd Carr's Michigan Wolverines, okay? At the end of the day, I respect players. There have been a lot of players that have come through with, Ty Laws and, like I said, the Marlon Jacksons, David Harris, Lamar Woodley. I can go on. Listen, I know Michigan's history as much as I know Ohio State's, and more than even people like Tony on here, chattering about it. I know about the Michigan Wolverines. I know all their history. I know all their tradition. I know all their players, the All Americans. I know about the 12 national championships, although only 2 of them happened after the invention of color TV. I know everything about the Michigan Wolverines. So, Tony can talk, as he just said, ain't beat Michigan in 4 years. Actually, it's 3 because you all ducked out of that game in 2020. And I want you to go look, since you like looking up stats, the history over the past 25 years. Don't get stuck on 3 years in a row.
Hey, bro.
So, anyway.
I ain't hating, bro, but the last championship y'all got, y'all even had face masks. Tony, relax. They even had face masks back then.
No, I'll do what I said. Look up the past 25 years. We talk about 3 years in a row. I'm talking about games that were actually played. You can say, so that's 4. Do what I asked you to do. You got your phone with you right now on your laptop. Look up what's happened over the past 25 years. Stop being a recency bias, candidate and going over that. And I can bet you any amount of money what's going to happen this year if you want to put your money where your mouth is.
Hey, man, come to the U, man. I'm tired of all this. Come to the U, baby. We back, baby. Come to the U, man. I'm tired of all this talk.
And anyway, people like Cal don't even have a reason not to like his state university. His rationale behind it is just pure ass and garbage. And I hate to use profanity on this, program, but we ain't gonna go into that because last time I went into that, Cal tried to fight me and stopped talking to me for 2 years. So
that hate for Ohio State be real. I didn't know it was this bad.
It's stupid because I don't even want to bring up the logic behind it. And
I don't know why Cal don't like Ohio State. I never knew that. Oh, because Ohio State ain't want you? Probably because you was undersized and under height. That's why.
I was just getting ready to say rarely, especially back then during the John Cooper era, did they recruit defensive backs under 5'11". Antoine Winfield was the exception. But
Calvin is 5'11".
First of all, and this is another.
On what day? On what day?
He is 5'11".
Stop. This is another dumbass argument that I don't like. First of all, it is the Ohio State University. It's not just a catchy name or something they put on there. That is real deal. The Ohio State University. It's the flagship university of the state. There's a reason why they get the majority of the funding and they have the student body that they have. It's not just Columbus. It's in Columbus because it's the state capital of Ohio State, just like Tallahassee and everywhere else that there's a state university primarily. Michigan State in Lansing, there's a reason for that. So stop trying to make it. It ain't Columbus State versus Cincinnati State. That's another dumbass argument that I cannot stand when people bring, that up. So it has nothing to do with that. And honestly, it don't really have anything to do with Columbus people. It's y'all people in Cincinnati who try to make this thing into some fictional rivalry that don't exist when Cincinnati is a basketball school, number one. Number two, they've never really been rivals. They haven't beat Ohio State since 1897, on the football field. So I really don't even want to hear, this comparison or there's a rivalry. And the last time I checked, Cincinnati was in the state lines of Ohio also. It's not its own sovereign, city or state. It's in the city of Cincinnati, yes, but where is Cincinnati located? In the state of Ohio. So stop trying to make it into a rivalry that don't exist.
I think he was talking more of the people of Columbus don't like the people of Cincinnati. I don't think they was
People
talking
in
about the
Columbus don't even
tourists.
pay attention to people in Cincinnati. There's no reason, to. It's not a rivalry on their end. It's just this inferiority complex that they have here. Like again, when I was on campus and I was writing for the news record during what I still feel, other than that playoff year, was the greatest season in Cincinnati, history, and undefeated in 13-0. Instead of focusing on the best season at that point in school history and what should have been done to possibly even keep Brian Kelly, even if it was just for a few more years, what did we do? We went out and printed Buckeye State T-shirts, because everybody thought that was so damn cute, and that was bullshit too. But it's like, okay, because again, it's that inferiority complex that don't exist in Columbus that people were trying to make here. And I graduated from UC, so I mean, I can tell you that the focus every time UC has a good year, particularly in football, which I can make an argument, give or take, throughout the history of UC football, there's only been about 4 above average, seasons. The first thing they do, instead of focusing on UC and making it about UC, is they mention Ohio State, which is another reason why people outside of this area will never take them seriously, because you can't even bask in your own glory and make it about UC. You had to mention your state university for some odd reason because of this inferiority complex that you have.
Oh shoot! Let me grab my charger.
Tony said, this is another good question that I get asked. So thank you for asking this, brother Tony. He said, I mean, it's in Columbus. UC play Ohio State. Who are you rooting for? Most people know the answer to this question already that has been posed to me several times. Now, my license plates on my Jeep and everything say University of Cincinnati alum. I give UC a lot of credit. I still donate to the basketball program when I'm able. I've had a bunch of UC basketball players on this program. So to answer your question, if it's football, Ohio being a football state, I have and always will root for my state university that represents the entire state, not just Columbus, not just Ohio State as a school, represents Cincinnati, Akron, Cleveland, every city in the state of Ohio. If it's basketball, I am always rooting for my alma mater and the University of Cincinnati. So that's how you answer that question. And regardless of what most people say, or whether they want to admit it, for people that were born in my era and stuff, it was always UC basketball and Ohio State football. You had some pockets of people that were just haters and just didn't want to, support the state university. But, particularly during the John Cooper and Bob Huggins eras, that's where most people's allegiance was.
Bob Huggins bad.
Now you want to talk about a homer, Tony? This young man right here uh, is the biggest homer I know. I don't care if it's FC Cincinnati, if it's Withrow, UC's lacrosse team. Calvin is a homer to the core. And even me loving my Bengals and UC basketball and the Reds and stuff, even I look at Cal sometimes and I'm like, damn, dude, like come on, man. Like
Through and through.
It's in his veins, man. He said, why can't you root for UC football like Ohio State? Both can get love. And that's the other thing. This is like the whole whether you a LeBron fan or not. Like at the end of the day, I don't root against UC football. Y'all have never heard me come on here and say I want UC football to lose. That doesn't mean that I have to be a fan either. I can tip my cap to them and wish them well, but I don't root against UC. The only time I have a problem is when people try to make this into a rivalry that don't exist, or a hatred for your state university where you live within the state of Ohio. And like I said, the whole Buckeye State bull crap. Like that's the only time where I get mad. Other than that, because and here's another thing. When my dad ran the Madisonville Tigers and the NYFL local chapter here when he was the president, I remember them giving away UC football tickets to play East Carolina on a Thursday night. I'm talking about the Chad Plummer days, just so it wouldn't look so empty on ESPN. I remember a lady, they were giving them away at Burger King, and the worker saying, "Ma'am, they're free," and she said, "I don't want them." Okay, I remember UC football back then on the AstroTurf at Nippert. The other thing that pisses me off is a lot of these fake "I want to be UC football" fans really didn't start paying attention till post, Brian Kelly. I could be nice and say maybe D'Antonio, but not really. Like this whole bandwagon, we want to be UC, blah, blah, blah. And I try to explain to people, yes, you can root for both, but a lot of people won't do that. They feel like they have to be one or the other, like they're legit rivals, and they're not. So,
well, I root for both, so I ain't worried about it. I'm all about both teams. I would love to see UC be successful in football. It's just a little tougher for them.
it's always tougher for city schools to sustain long-term football dominance. Even though I want John School to come back, they suffer from that too. Now, they are undoubtedly the best university that represents a city all time, with their 5 national championships. That can't be argued, but there are people like them and Pitt that used to dominate, but it's hard to sustain that. I can make an argument, prior to this year, which I'm glad that the Hurricanes are undefeated right now. They were starting.
What do they rank? What do they rank?
6.
They were starting to become a basketball entity for real with some of the Miami teams. So I'm glad Cristobal is doing what he needs to do down there. He said, "Y'all not gonna talk to me, but Lou trash, big heavy." I just think there's a lot more issues other than Sweet Lou, and like I said, I don't want to bash specific players and or coaches because that's not what we do on here. But everybody knows I'm not a big fan of the head coach. I never have, never will be. I just I didn't think he was qualified. Minus Joe Burrow, the 3rd worst record in NFL coaching history through 2+ seasons. That speaks for itself. That's not me bashing. That's just facts. I mean, I don't know what else y'all want me to say.
I mean, you can't argue that, man.
That's
that
pretty.
That part you definitely can't argue. It just is what it is.
I'm not posting Tony's latest comment.
I want to know what he said just because you.
Some disrespectful shit. I'm still.
Hey man, leave that alone, man. Because I already got to deal with enough of them.
Why, Cal?
I already got to deal with enough of them.
Man, I'm about to.
This ain't about you, big Cal. I don't understand for somebody that grew up.
We've been talking about this for weeks.
We're not talking about that. What I'm trying to make a point about is the fact that Cal grew up a Florida State fan. So what the hell does that have to do with Miami?
Oh, that is a fact.
That's what I'm like.
He was a Seminole fan.
I'm not getting this, man.
What's going on, Cal? That you was a Seminole fan. What is this about? You can't do that, bro.
See, that's just facts, man. It has nothing to do with him. And then another time Cal got mad at me. We were sitting down at the Bengals game watching Peyton Manning with the Broncos with Cal and John's cousin. And Cal did another thing that pisses me off about UC fans on why I'm like, I ain't going to root against them, but I ain't rooting for them as far as football is concerned. Because everybody knows I'm through and through Bearcats basketball. Mm-hmm. But he said, well, what about that time in 2002? And I cut him off and I said, damn it, Cal. Why does every UC fan go back to a
92.
loss in
To 92.
2002 that wouldn't have even been close if Maurice Claret wasn't standing on the sideline because they just scoped his knee and said, man, we don't even need you to beat UC. Like, stop. Like, that whole moral victory we claiming to, and again, you have not beaten Ohio State since 1897. Stop.
It's a long time. Ain't even hold it.
Every C in the house.
What up? What up? What up?
See, now we got some real people in the house, man. I couldn't stand it either, brother. Like, that was just, and being on campus at the time and knowing a lot of them, Big John did too, because of our brother O, and Marty and the rest of them. I mean, they really had a good team, that year. And they played in a legit, conference. The old
Was that
Biggie.
they had Marty Gilliard?
Yeah.
That's right.
The old Biggies. Like, I was actually a fan, man. A supporter of that, team. But that Buckeye State t-shirt stuff, I talked to professors about it on campus and stuff, and I voiced my opinion and stuff. They used to get mad at me sometimes for wearing my scarlet and gray certain things. Now, I wouldn't do it to a press conference or nothing like when we would attend, those. But I'm like, bro, like, stop. It's not a rivalry. Like, it's your state university, and they have nothing to do with the success or not of this school here in Clifton. Like, they're not connected. One doesn't control the other. Let it go. So yeah, I posted that again because I'm like, brother, I agree. Curtis said this one took a turn because it's nonsense, man. We try to come on here specifically talk about our Bengals. We got people
What's
talking
up, Kurt?
that don't even pertain to them. At the end of the day. So I do want to do two things before we get up out of here. Number one, I predicted the Bengals will win on Sunday Night Football against the New York Giants. John keep laughing.
I keep laughing because they better. They because you predicted they better win.
They are going to win on Sunday. Period, point blank. And for the rest of the season, that's how they had to take it. They had to take it, one game at a time. It can't be, oh, this is our record, and what if we win this? Can we get into the playoffs? That can't even be the concern. Take care of week to week.
Playoffs.
Basically,
Playoffs.
that needs to be the mentality at this point. Like, forget playoffs. Like, we need to win. And get this thing back on track. So I want to ask y'all a question, and you didn't have this ahead of time. I didn't send it in the group chat. I want to know who your top 5 Bengals draft picks of all time are. Guys that were drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals.
Ooh. Wow.
Yeah, that's tough, ain't it?
I know. Okay.
Carl Pickens is one.
Hold on. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead, Nate.
All right.
You putting Carl Pickens number 1?
No, I ain't got no order. It's hard. It's hard.
All right. Well,
not to put an order on there.
So he's got Carl Pickens as 1. So you got 4 more.
Chad. Ocho Cinco.
3 more.
Ickey Woods.
That's a surprise.
Yeah.
I was a big Ickey Woods fan.
2 more.
Surprisingly, Jeff Blake.
Jeff Blake wasn't drafted by
No, he wasn't drafted. That's right. He was a trade. I can't use it. Damn it. Keely Smith was a failure. Did we draft Anthony Munoz?
Yes.
All right. There's another one.
I was waiting for that. I'm like, if you don't put him,
Yeah, I was losing my. I'm like, wait, I'm forgetting somebody.
one more.
And I feel like I'm missing somebody. Andrew Whitworth.
He said Big Wit. Okay, that's a nice list. Let me get Henry C in here. He said Burrow, Uno, AJ Green, Tequila Spice, and Anthony Munoz. Not mad at that list.
Oh, I forgot Big Willie. Damn. I knew I
So
forgot somebody. I was trying to. I put Whitworth in the place.
I'm gonna go and I'm gonna let Big John hop in here. So for me, top 5 greatest Bengals draft picks of all time: Anthony Munoz, Willie Anderson, Corey Dillon,
Mm. Mm.
Ken Riley.
Don't say Chris Collinsworth, because I can't stand him
No, the
commentating.
last one I'm debating on. I want to put Ocho in there so bad.
It's kind of hard to go against Carl Pickens, though.
No, I love Carl Pickens, but Ocho was better. Uh,
Yeah, that's true.
I have to say Joe Burrow right now.
Mm.
I know it's
I
early
thought you was gonna
on.
say Darnay Scott.
No, if I was gonna say Darnay Scott, man, that opened up a can of worms. I could have put Brian Simmons in there. I could have put P.O. Uh, P. Dub.
Yeah. Oh man, Peter Warwick was. If he just wasn't, if he could have stayed healthy, boy, golly.
Yeah, he was just coming on right when he got hurt. But
Yep.
yeah, that's about top. But I can't believe you didn't put Corey Dillon in there. But that's
I don't know, cause I didn't think he was drafted by us. I just, that's why.
yeah, he was,
He
man.
was drafted.
He said, "Dang, Pickens over AJ Green."
No.
Nah, that's tough.
Hell no.
No, what you say, AJ? You said Pickens over AJ. No, that's right.
No.
You
No,
don't think so?
no.
No. AJ was a top 5 draft pick, bro. And he hit. Wasn't like he didn't hit. Okay, y'all, you
Carl
gonna
Pickens
have
ain't hit. I mean, Carl Pickens, he wasn't no buzz.
he wasn't no bust, but he wasn't no top 5 draft pick either.
But you know the thing I made about Carl Pickens is this: Carl Pickens has better stats than Drew Pearson, who made the Hall of Fame because he played for the Cowboys. But um, in reality, he's more of a McCaffrey. Like he had about 6 or 7,000 yards for his career. I'm not diminishing that. Like that's still great. Multi-1,000-yard receiver. But when I see that, I'm like, Carl Pickens was a good NFL wide receiver, and he's still a Bengals legend. By the way, he's the only one that was alive that didn't show up to the 50th anniversary thing, but we know why. There's lingering, issues there. He'll probably never step foot back in the city of Cincinnati again. But no, I don't think any of these lists are wrong, but yeah, there's some arguments. So who you got, Big John? Top 5
Okay,
Bengals?
I'm not gonna say mine in order. But Munoz, Dillon,
Your boy
uh,
Willie.
I'm gonna leave Willie off, but
What?
it's a reason why I'm gonna leave Willie off.
What?
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm gonna leave Willie off. But
Arguably
Munoz,
the greatest right tackle of all time, not just in Bengals history.
I agree with you. I
You
agree with
leaving him off of the draft list
But
for the
we
Bengals?
talk about just this, but draft plays a part in it,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
and what they did, draft plays a part in it. So Munoz, Dillon, AJ,
Boomer.
Okay, I take that back. I'm going to put Willie on there, but I have a reason why I almost left him off. So I said Munoz, AJ, uh, Willie, Dylan, and my last one,
Justin Smith.
no,
Yeah.
my last one. See, this is where it gets tough.
Justin
This is
Smith.
where it gets tough with the last one. I'm going to say Gino, but the reason why I almost didn't put Willie on there because two of y'all said two people that popped up and made perfect sense to me. I put AJ and Gino on there because they were with Marvin. They were two part of the teams that changed the culture.
Mm-hmm.
But two guys that y'all mentioned were the start of that culture change, which was Takeo Spikes and Brian Simmons. Takeo Spikes and Brian Simmons were the first two that sparked that change. That was Marvin's first two picks when he first started. They weren't Marvin picks. They was
they were drafted in '98 in the same draft.
Right. So
was that
Bruce Coslet?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but those two, like as a tandem, man, what they did, man, was great.
The fact that we got both of them in the same draft is still amazing. Brian Simmons and Takeo Spikes, two of the best linebackers of all time in Bengals history.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Brother Henry C say, "What defense player I put? We picked up. I picked.
I had some defensive players. I
picked the Rattler. I put Ken Riley in mine.
Yeah. I had
and you had Takeo.
Yeah. I had like I said, man, it just everybody want to rant and rave about what Aaron Donald did, and Aaron Donald is still Aaron Donald, but Geno Atkins was that guy. Regardless if you want to say it or not.
There we go, Cal. You finally said something agreeable today. I wanted to put Boomer in there so bad because y'all know until Joey B got here, I was adamant that Boomer was the greatest Bengals quarterback of all time. You know, the former 1988 NFL MVP.
I wanted to put Carson and Chad in mine too, but I just
he went real.
Well, that's recency bias to his
three quarterbacks on there. 3 quarterbacks on there.
I can't put Carson in there, but me and Will talked about this. I think that was Sunday. Bengals fans may not like this, but I still think Carson Palmer is the most physically gifted or talented quarterback the Bengals have ever had.
Yeah. Physically, especially, yeah. He had a cannon.
Now, did he have that mental it factor like Joe Burrow or, maybe even the grit or confidence of a Boomer?
No.
But if you go in the lab and make a quarterback, you're probably going to end up looking like Carson Palmer.
Probably. Yeah,
for sure.
And his back
225, 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah, his drop back and everything was complete perfection before his knee injury. That he wasn't stepping into them throws like he had. Yeah, but that's understandable to a degree, but yeah. Oh, and before we leave, this is non-Bengals related. What is wrong? We talked about it a little bit last episode, John. What is wrong with your boy, the playmaker, down there? What was he doing before the game? Was he stretching,
bruh? What?
You ain't seen the clip that we talked about, Nate? Have you?
I probably haven't, but I'm probably gonna watch it later.
Was he on Booger Sugar?
Bro, what what Rick James say on Chappelle show?
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
That's my brother.
I didn't do stuff just to do it. What I look like just putting dirt on somebody's couch.
I ain't put my feet on Charlie Murphy's couch.
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah, I did it because you can get another one.
We love you. You are a legend. But come on, bro. Come on, man.
Yeah, see, Henry C saw it. He's like, bend over, Paul. I'm gonna send y'all the clip because Cameron and Mace posted it.
Yeah,
You a
I
legend.
gotta see it.
You one of my hurricanes. I can't defend some of the stuff you be doing, bruh.
I told you that segment
Yeah, Kurt, I'm with you. It's that powder, baby.
that segment on NFL
I'm
Network when he
telling you, he
came on
still
there.
got it on. He got it in his trophy
I
case,
gotta see
yo.
it. That segment he came on NFL Network with the white around
But
his lips.
but even if he still ain't on it, it's the residual of all them years.
Steve Smith asked him. He said, "Bro, what is that around your lips?" And he said,
Oh, with Steve Smith.
he said, "I had a turkey sandwich, man, before we came back off." Steve Smith said, "Yeah." I don't
That's
know.
Unbelievable.
called. I took a bump when it looked
Oh,
around the room and lit up.
no, but those were good lists, man. Despite what the national media says, the Bengals have had some great draft picks here, man. So I don't think any of them lists were wrong. You could go any different, direction. Predictions for a score for Sunday night's game versus the Giants on NBC with
I'm glad it's late. I
Collinsworth,
got my reunion stuff this weekend. I'm glad it's late.
Chris Collinsworth and Mike Tirico. I'm going 24-17 Bengals.
24-17. I'm I'm going 35-14. It should be a blowout. I think it's gonna be a blowout.
Nice. Nate,
I'm going 28-10.
28-10 Bengals. Cal says 35-10 Cincy. So before we get out of here, last statement 31-21. Henry C says Bengals.
That ain't a bad one, Henry. I like that one too.
The Bengals win if
We stopped Malcolm Neighbors.
Malik Neighbor.
Malik Neighbors. Yeah, we slow him down. It's over. If he played, he was out this week.
John.
They should beat them just off GP. I understand it's an NFL team, but they should beat them.
So the Bengals win if
Stop making foolish mistakes at bad times. I am a stickler for not playing stupid football. Don't make those mistakes when you're a veteran team and you know better.
I will say, and keep it simple, the Bengals win if they've taken control of the game prior to the fourth quarter and second half, and are able to sustain, as Big John said, without making silly turnovers on the road.
Yeah.
Sound about right.
Cal says if we block the ends. Yeah, they do have some pass rushers.
Yeah, they do got some pass
Well, yeah.
rushers.
What's the boy number 5 that went to Oregon? He pretty decent.
Yeah.
Thaddeus, what that ain't that his name? What is it?
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. And so is Dexter Lawrence in the middle, though.
Yeah, I was going to say Lawrence the problem.
And Kurt said we win the turnover battle. Yeah, most of the time you don't win the game if you lose the turnover battle. I've seen a few exceptions to that, but usually that's very key, man. As we saw in this last game. Did we lose the turnover battle though, or was it just? I thought it was 1-1, wasn't it?
1-1.
Yeah.
No,
What was the other one?
we
I know.
won the turnover battle.
Barrel interception. Thibodeau.
Yeah, there you go. That's his name.
Maybe thinking of Cosby.
No, we won the turnover battle.
We got
the fumble recovery. We got the pick.
They get a pick. Who got a pick?
No, I'm sorry. No, it was 1-1. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they got
called one. They called. It was we almost lost it, but they called that pick back with what's your name? And ran all the way to the other end.
Yeah.
Hamilton.
Well, we got Big John yawning over there, y'all. We go ahead and wrap up for this Bengals Block edition. I know it was a tough one in week 5. We have let several games slip away that we shouldn't have and dug ourselves a tremendous hole, but I do not believe the season is over quite yet. Starts with getting a victory Sunday night on prime time on national TV against the New York Football Giants. Hopefully our Bengals will do that. we'll try to do this, if not every week, bi-weekly, because of course we have our next Factual Opinions episode next week. But I knew people needed this, and we needed to talk this latest Bengals chapter
Yeah,
out.
get something off. Get it off our chest.
So we'll sign out. Remember to share our video. It's on Facebook, on both my individual page and the Factual Opinions podcast page. It's on YouTube as well. So share this. If you guys want to talk more Bengals talk or have ideas or things you want to talk about, we always welcome comments and participation. So we appreciate that. We will check back in with y'all next week on season 4, episode 19 of the Factual Opinions podcast. We'll try and do it better the next time.